So good morning to all of you and welcome to the session. Today's session basically environment on sustainability services. Our speaker is with us, Mr. Arpit Sharma. He is from Skill Council for Green Jobs. So we welcome sir to the forum and we welcome all participants to this session on environmental sustainability services. So let us have a brief introduction. I'm the Ankit Patel, host for today's session. I will introduce myself. My name is Ankit Patel, and I'm by qualification mechanical engineer, and I'm leading the organization Dhyani Consulting Services, based in Vadodara, Gujarat. And we do work on various ISO standards, implementation training, and internal audit supports. We also provide a reporting support for various ESG frameworks like BRSR, TFS, ISCC. We also work in various process improvement models like value stream mapping, Lean Six Sigma, 5S, Kaizen. And we as an organization have wide experience in case of third-party inspection, various compliances, international licenses. We also do customized trainings and various maturity models we work on, like CMMI, level 3, level 4, and level 5. Uh, without investing much time, let me introduce Mr. Arpit Sharma, the speaker for today. Mr. Arpit Sharma is CEO for the Skill Council of Green Jobs. Currently, he is operating as CEO and leading strategic initiatives and operational efficiency. He joined SCGJ in 2015 as a country head of assessment and accreditation, and later served as VP before progressing to this current position. By academics, Mr. Arpit holds a bachelor's degree in science from Kiori Mai College, University of Delhi, and he has completed his management program from IIM Kozhikode. Previously, Arpit sir has worked with Kirloskar Group, basically in the financial sector with HSBC, Dutch Bank, and DBS. Mr. Arpit is globally recognized as a leader, and his organization SCGJ won the recognition at World Skills in 2020 in Kyoto, Japan, and this is very remarkable achievement for Mr. Arpit and his organization. He also facilitated MOUs with World Bank and German Solar Association to advance the renewable energy skills and international mobility for Indian technicians. So from a skilling perspective, he is contributing at larger impact. His ongoing learning is he was nominated for a study tour to Germany in 2023, reinforcing his commitment to staying updated and on global developments in renewable energy. So today's session is basically designed for sustainability services. So Mr. Arpit will focus on the ecosystem for the skill level requirement, the availability of skilled manpower in the area of environment and sustainability services. So basically, sustainability is a buzzword in today's world. Various forums are speaking about ESG, sustainability. Our governments are also basically promoting the reporting to have the international businesses in a smooth manner. So without much investing much time in the introduction, I will hand over the session to Mr. Arpit, and he will enlighten us about the skilling requirements, skilling ecosystem in our country, India. Over to you, Mr. Arpit.
Thank you so much, Ankit ji. I would like to uh, I'm really thankful to your organization for giving me an opportunity to be a part of this session. Just a small correction before I start my talk. Actually, I'm serving as the Chief Executive Officer at Skill Council for Green Jobs.
Okay.
I've taken over as CEO
Okay.
this year only, in June. And prior to that, I was serving as COO.
Okay. Okay.
So uh, uh, just wanted to mention
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So
Great.
thank you so much for your kind introduction. So I would like to start my talk with why skilling is required in the areas of sustainability or climate change or renewable energy or any of these areas. So as we all know that India is moving very systematically towards a low carbon emission pathway, and as a country we are simultaneously also endeavoring to meet our developmental challenges. Our NDCs are taking forward our Honorable Prime Minister's vision of sustainable lifestyle and climate justice. And the endeavor is to protect the poor and the vulnerable from the adverse effects of the impacts of climate change, which we have been witnessing in the last few years, especially in the vulnerable states of Himachal, Uttarakhand, Tamil Nadu, and many more. So our country's nationally determined contributions, they center around the policies and programs on promotion of clean energy, and especially the renewable energy, I would say. Then enhancement of the energy efficiency, and also the development of less carbon intensive and resilient urban centers among our others. So now as a country, we are working towards making India energy independent before the completion of 100 years of independence, which is the year 2047. And it is also proposed that we will be net zero in emissions by 2070. India also envisages that there would be a network of CNG and PNG across the country with a target of at least 20% of ethanol and ethanol blending in the petrol and diesel. As a country, we are also focusing on emphasizing on the mission circular economy, which is one of the very, very important topics that we are talking nowadays. And we have set up a target of 500 gigawatts of renewable energy by 2030, and to make India a global hub for green hydrogen production and export in the next 25 years. So we are now moving towards clean energy transition. With this transition, I would say there are new opportunities of green growth and green jobs and green economy, which are opening up today for not just the big players in the country, but also for the startups and youth. So to address all these requirements of the issue of the manpower associated with the sustainability or the sustainable development, Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship has set up a separate skill council in 2015, which is the Skill Council for Green Jobs. And this is one sector skill council that has been set up for the purpose of developing competencies and skills in the domain of renewable energy, sustainable development, and environmental issues. So as I mentioned, in my talk earlier, that India's ambitious of RE targets by 500 gigawatts are expected to create a huge surge of not only the investments in the sector, but we'll be representing as an important, as a very important position in the country in terms of the job creation. It is estimated based on studies that SCGJ has done with JP Morgan, with UNDP, with CWW, that India's government pledge under the Paris Agreement not only will scale up the renewables, but the overall employment will increase by additional 30% by 2030. In fact, ILO also forecasts that India's shift to green economy would add close to 3 million jobs in the RE sector alone by 2030. And when we see such massive changes in the economy, we require building skills so that, as a country, we can take advantage of the current scenario and also create new job opportunities in the sector. So with this aim, to make India energy independent and decarbonize the major sectors, Government of India on 4th of January 2030 also approved the National Green Hydrogen Mission with an outlay of close to 19,744 crores. And this program aims to make India a global hub for not just the production, but also the export of green hydrogen and its derivatives. We have been seeing a lot of momentum in the green hydrogen domain in the last 1 year, especially in the year 2024, where a lot of organizations internationally and nationally, they have been awarded tenders by the Solar Energy Corporation of India to set up the electrolyzers, to produce the hydrogen. And there is a massive flow of investment of close to something like 10 lakh crore, which is envisaged by 2030. And this would create close to 6 lakh jobs in the nation. When we talk about the India's target in hydrogen, then nearly 5 million metric tons of hydrogen needs to be produced by 2030, and nearly 50 million metric tons of CO2 emissions are also expected to be averted by 2030. So, as a sector skill council, we were established in 2015 under the aegis of MSDE, which is the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, Government of India. And our prime reason for creation is to address the skilled manpower in the requirement for the emerging climate resilient technologies under the commitment of the United Nations Frameworks for Convention on Climate Change, which is the UNFCCC. And we are promoted by MNRE, which is the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, and Confederation of Indian Industries. So, SCGJ is a non-for-profit, autonomous and industry-led organization with a mandate to design and implement wide range of capacity building programs. And we are also a recognized awarding body of the National Council for Vocation, Education and Training in the green energy space. In fact, we are the only body to be given that accreditation. As far as our activities are concerned, they are linked to some of the key schemes and missions of the Government of India, which includes the National Solar Mission, Make in India, Atmanirbhar Bharat, Swachh Bharat Mission. And we have been closely interacting with the central ministries, including the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, Ministry of Jal Shakti, and in addition to the Skill India missions of various states. As a sector skill council, we also aim to identify the skilling needs of service users as well as the manufacturers and service providers in the clean energy sectors. And we have a mandate to implement these initiatives, pan-India or nationwide, and collaboratively with the industry and the think tanks and the education institutions to create not only the jobs, but to also create a lot of entrepreneurs in the country to support the India's potential for green business. So in line with the National Education Policy of 2020 of India, we are also now very closely working towards introducing vocational education in green businesses in schools, universities, and engineering colleges. Our key activities also encompass all stages of first the training design, then delivery, including performing the skill gap analysis, doing a occupational map, development of various qualifications based on the industry requirement, affiliate suitable training partners, and then also empanel various assessment agencies who are required to carry out the examination of the candidates. With this, a very important component that we have seen is, is the training of trainers and also the training of assessors. And finally, all these activities, they lead to improving the industry linkages in all the subsectors, undertaking skilling or consultancy projects or implementing any kind of externally or internally sponsored projects. So we have also a very strong focus on developing strong industry connect in mainly on 3 work streams. First is the renewable energy. Second is the environment, forest and climate change. And third is the sustainable development, which is covering the entire gamut of green businesses in the country. So in this context, I would say that our prime focus is to strengthen the industry focus along with the training institutions and the industry, so that very well performed demand aggregation and identification happens, and whatever intellectual material or qualifications or participant handbooks or trainer handbooks that we create are validated by the industry itself, that the training content is actually as per the standards of the industry. So recently, I would like to quote an example that we have created a training module on solar PV manufacturing, and it has been completely made with the support of Adani Group. And the entire handbook for the participant and for the trainer has been also validated by them. So far we have close to 550 industry members across various sectors. We do an extensive work in the area of waste management, and so far we have close to 70 nationally approved qualifications which are available across various subdomains in these particular sectors that I mentioned, especially the waste management, which is becoming a huge sector for us. I would also like to mention that, with a network of 4,000 trainers across the country and assessors across the country, and close to 1,000 training institutions who are empaneled by Skill Council for Green Jobs. These are universities, engineering colleges, think tanks, industry associations, industry themselves, who managed to create their own training facility, just like Tata Power, for example. Tata Power, we have signed a recent MOU, and they have created a Tata Center of Excellence on Green Hydrogen at Shahad, Mumbai, and we are doing joint trainings there. So far we have been able to train close to 550,000 trainees and certified them in the area of solar energy, waste management, and green hydrogen domain. We have also created some e-learning content through which virtual trainings of close to 4,000 candidates have been undertaken. And also we could witness the success of these programs when we kind of tied up with the International Solar Alliance, ISA, and we have undertaken trainings of close to 1,400 stakeholders from 82 ISA countries, member countries, in various aspects of solar energy. So we have kind of implemented a wide range of corporate social responsibility programs with multiple organizations like Apollo Tires or Tata Power or Renew Power for that matter. So as an organization, we have also charted a plan for 2030 and we have created a vision for 2047, where we can see a huge shift towards clean energy. And we also envisage, along with various studies, that India would be able to create around 30 to 35 million additional jobs across various sectors by 2047. And over 10 million skill trainings and job facilitations will be undertaken. And these sectors, I would like to mention that, they are deemed to have the highest potential of job creation, which includes green hydrogen, energy storage, hybrid renewable energy systems, biomass, biofuels, EV charging, pollution control, e-waste management, decarbonization of the entire industry, energy intensive industries. So in shorter term, we have a vision 2030 where we aim to facilitate 1 million short-term trainings in clean energy and green technologies and 2 million virtual and blended upskilling and reskilling trainings across all the sectors. So far, we have close to 13 centers of excellence in solar energy and green hydrogen. And we aim to have 20 more center of excellences in the next 1 year. And we also see that along with schemes like PM Surya Ghar Yojana and the National Green Hydrogen Mission, which has been launched. So we aim to have a training partner base of close to 2,000 training centers affiliated in the next 1 year and almost 20 centers of excellences with more than 6,000 trainer base across the country. In the environment sector, we have also created a qualification on the greenhouse gas emissions, GHG accounting and reporting, where apart from the government support, we have been, running this program successfully under the market mode, under the candidate mode model. And we aim to develop more qualifications in these areas in the greenhouse gas emissions and ESG. And publicly, I would like to also announce that I was having a lot of details with Anil Johari Sahab, and along with think tanks and organizations like yours. So we'll be very happy to collaborate on developing various qualifications and rolling out training programs in the GHG space and the ESG space. So this is all that I had to kind of say of the work that we have been doing in the last few years. And happy to have some questions, if any, and looking forward to a very, very great collaboration. And also in the end, I would like to thank you for rescheduling my time, because I have a meeting at 12:30. So you were very kind to reschedule my time to 11 o'clock. So thank you so very much. And I don't know if Mr. Johari is here, but I would especially like to give a great thanks to him for, kind of inviting me here. And
Sure.
our entire team will provide necessary support for moving forward. Thank you so much.
Sure. I will convey your message to Johari, sir. And thank you very much for spending your valuable time, sharing your experience. And our participants may be enlightened to see that what our Indian government is doing for these green jobs as an organization, as an CEO, what level you are contributing, so that at the end of the day, our country and most importantly, our next generation would have the life that is sustainable. And in case of jobs, because India is now a most populated country, so our citizens can have the jobs which are meaningful, impactful, and basically it sustains the sustainable development of planet ultimately. So we are very much thankful to you, sir. And as an organization, we are two consulting association, CCC and MSCC, basically Consultant Consortium of Chennai and Management System Consultant Consortium. It's a pan-India wide management association. So as an organization, we will try to work closely with your organization. So we will have the detailed interaction with Johari sir, and we will convey our messages to him. And
And in the meanwhile, I've also shared my email ID and my mobile number for
okay,
all the participants, who can freely give me a call, write back to me, and I'll be very happy to answer any sort of questions.
sure, sure. It's so kind of you, sir. We will take the question answer and we'll try to address the answer after the second speaker session is over. So mostly around 11:50, I will try to have any questions if participants are having. Right? So we are now handing over to the upcoming speaker. So Aarti, can we have the slide for Nishtha? Welcome, Nishtha to the forum and to the session on environment and sustainability services. So we welcome from our association CCC and MSCC to this forum. For participant, I would like to give brief introduction about Ms. Nishtha Gupta. Ms. Nishtha Gupta is the current group head for sustainability and ESG at Suzlon, one of the India's top renewable energy generating organization. And she is having more than 15 years of experience. She has worked on sustainability, ESG, product stewardship, biodiversity, carbon neutrality, and circular economy in her past organization as well as she is doing in his current organization. Previously, Ms. Nishtha was associated with Bureau Veritas, Investcorp, ACOM, Tufsor South Asia, and Reliance Power. And she was focusing there on sustainability implementation and consulting support. Ms. Nishtha is also ESG committee chair of TAC Council Brussels and it's technical committee member for BIS working groups for developing the ESG reporting standards for various sectors. She has received various awards, and one of the notable award is the Sustainability Leader of the Year and Most Impactful Sustainability Leader in the year 2023 and the current year 2024. By education, she holds an MSc in Water Resource Management from TERI University, India. Her impactful contribution that she has worked across diverse sectors such as power, mining, renewable energy, infrastructure, cement, whereby focusing the sustainability strategies, net zero and circular economy. So we welcome Ms. Nishtha to this forum.
Good morning, and thank you so much, Ankit, for this introduction and inviting me over. I'm glad that you have invited me over this session, and also warm regards to Mr. Johari, who called me, just asked me. I said, anything for you, sir. I'm glad to be participating in sessions and disseminating information as required because I represent an organization whose belief is in sustainability. I mean, the backbone is sustainability. So I come from Suzlon, whose mission is powering a greener tomorrow, who is there in the mission for the last 29 years. And I'm proud to be representing on behalf of Suzlon at this forum. And with this mission on sustainability, it's not just working within the organization. We have to, work together in collaboration when we talk about sustainability. So that's the belief that we have, and that's the reason I'm here. And I would do whatever is required and what is required by the participants available in this forum and even afterwards for discussion. So yeah, so glad that I'm over here, and over to you, Ankit.
Yeah, yeah. So, Nisha ji, we have basically we'll have the question and answer directly as a panelist session. So we have few in industry we are seeing many challenges for implementing, for reporting the various sustainability frameworks, and even sometimes industry is not aware what is ESG, what is sustainability, right? So in previous session, with previous speaker, we have seen that what government is doing. Now, as you are from industry, so we want to hear from the industry person that what are the actual challenges that we are facing as an industry. Because see, the government of India is doing the upskilling. They are providing the various, developing the various actioner centers. They are doing the various tie-ups with the corporate giants so that the our Indian citizens, Indian manpowers can have the skills. Now let us see what are the current gaps. So I will ask few questions, and based on your experience in industry, you can reply. So my first
Right.
question is, what are the challenges that industries are facing in the current regime of sustainability reporting standards, specifically in our country, India?
Thank you so much for this question, Ankit. So I'll tell you a couple of things before we go into deep dive and explore what is happening around in industries. Um, First, we should be proud that we are in India, which is
Yeah,
taking a lot of efforts to enhance sustainability, not just for the reporting part of it. Why I said reporting? Because reporting should be the last milestone while people should understand what they are doing. It's the last output which comes up in the some of sort of documentation that we consolidate and we see where we stand, right? So when we talk about sustainability reporting, Indian government is doing a lot of efforts. While we talk about what is happening in Europe, what is happening in US, what is happening in Japan, and many countries, one thing that we should all be very proud and should take pride in telling to any stakeholder within our company and even to the overseas partners is that Indian government is the first one wherein they understood that why it is important. SEBI took this up at even more with a more seriousness and came up with BRSR reporting standards. So while all of us were reporting on the financial reporting part of it, and nobody ever imagined that SEBI could really deep delve and work out on something which is on the sustainability reporting as well. So when you talk about the annual reporting on financial, inculcating with that business responsibility and the sustainability reporting. Earlier, it was all business response reporting standards, right? BRR became
yes, yes.
BRSR, right? So there's a lot of things which has changed afterwards. Now, what has changed? If I tell you, in all the reporting standards worldwide, it gives you a directions, what is supposed to be done, what are the frameworks, what you need to align. But as pretty simple, what it seems in BRSR, it's very complicated if you actually look at the granularities
Okay,
because the reporting format, which seems to be pretty simple, it's a set protocol. You cannot deviate from that. You have to stick to the format and come up on the disclosure. You cannot go one step behind, one step forward. You have to report what was done. They will not give you any deviation whatsoever. If you have done that, if you haven't done that, that has to be retained. None of the entries are supposed to be deleted. That's one. Number two, what you have done, it also gives you a liberty to evaluate your previous year performance, what you are doing. And also there is something called leadership indicators. What most of the people don't focus is on leadership indicators. It gives you a lot of emphasis on what you are doing at the moment, focusing on the next level of sustainability, which is required by an industry, right? So when we compare, now I'll give you a lot of things which Indian government is working on. So when SEBI came up with this BRSR, everybody was like, it's pretty simple. It's just, one reporting standard, one set of format. We just need to report on that one. It's not like that. It's very complicated. Had it been so simple, the 1,000 listed companies who were being asked to work on the reporting part of it, they could have done it easily, but it was not. It is a
yes,
very tedious exercise once you go and explore the things. When you talk about the reporting standards in India, which is asking you what is your emission intensity, what is your water consumption intensity. So there are a lot of tricky questions coming in. But what we are not trying to understand is that there is a lot of things at the backup, which is again which is aligned to the international standards. So we also did an exercise while I was in the TIC bodies in my previous role. So in my previous stint, we were thinking of what needs to be done. You know how SEBI is trying to evaluate. SEBI actually came up to us saying that are we aligned to the international standards? And we did a mapping. And believe me when I say that there are a lot of things which are actually aligned with, on GRI, SASB, and anything which is coming up even on IFRS S1 S2 disclosure. So there are a lot of things which are already aligned with, international standard. So what you will see in terms of in Indian context, the industries which are reporting on BRSR, they will not find any hassle in reporting on the GRI. It's the same thing. If you're working on GRI, you can actually report on BRSR. If you're working on BRSR, you can actually report on GRI. But there are a lot of things which gives you a way forward to report on. Now you can get some sort of liberty on GRI. You cannot get any liberty on your BRSR. So that's the beauty of BRSR. So we should actually take pride in saying that, yes, a reporting standard is not something which is a guidance framework. It is also a very well dedicated reporting part of it. Having said that, when you said how industries are facing a challenge, one challenge which is common across all industries, or you would say how it is different from industry to industry, is what you said on understanding. Now,
Yeah.
what matters in sustainability part of it, first the industry need to understand. So there are industries who have to report it because they are mandated by SEBI, and they don't understand what sustainability means for them, right? And there are industries who are quite mature, who have already been in the front runner, who have been always on the front of their sectors and have been working on this since a long while. They understand and they are quite mature, so there is a need to bridge the gap to make them understand what matters for them. So there are industries who also feel that ESG and sustainability is one. That's not. ESG are just the metrics to evaluate your sustainability performance. So that's the level of understanding which is not happening at the moment. So when you compare different industries, we see there is a lot of gap in understanding the context. There's a lot of gap in competency part of it, and when you come on the reporting part, that's the last milestone to make it align to the reporting part of it. I think it's more about capacity building, which is a gray area wherein things need to be done. So that's where we all stand in the industrial regime when you talk about sustainability.
Yeah. So, like as you said, in BRSR, the companies are reporting now. Now, in continuation with this, now BRSR is mandatory for 1,000 companies, and it is extending to further number of companies. Now, assurance as an additional criteria for validation of disclosure. Uh, do you think our industries in India geared up for this reporting for validation of disclosures?
Now, that's a very valid question. When we say about, so, it all started with how reporting should be taken up. So I think it's a right step being taken up by SEBI, saying about, what sort of data you are reporting, how exactly it should be taken up to understand where you stand. And SEBI rightly, came up with this initiative on assurance, because any disclosure, any data without an assurance doesn't mean anything. So what used to happen, I'll give you a couple of things as an example. A lot of companies who have committed on SBTI, science-based targets on net zero, right? So SBTI, science-based target initiative, commitment on net zero, you might have seen they're backing out as well, right? I've seen a lot of big organization. I'm not going to name anyone, but you will see a lot of big giants have, committed a couple of years back, and now they are trying to come out of the commitment. Why it is happening? Let's understand what has happened at the background. It's all happening because there is no credibility on data.
Okay.
What is happening is, once we go in and, if everybody has made all sort of efforts, if everybody says that, we are the most, most sustainable organization, and there is nothing left, there's always a roadmap. What we all are working, what we all are embarking is a journey towards sustainability, right? None of the organizations in the world can say that we have already achieved sustainability. It is
Yes.
just a journey because there are a lot of areas on which all the organizations are working on. If that is the case, then I think just purchasing certificate, everybody can become net zero, but that is not there, right? So what is happening is with credibility on the data disclosures, that's the intent. Uh, there are a lot of voluntary reporting areas on which you can actually release your report and say that, this is my sustainability report and this talks about, what we have done. We have, received 100% circularity. We are water neutral, water positive, shout about it and things like that. What is the credibility on data? That's where SEBI worked. It asked for limited assurance for all the other companies which are providing reports, but at least for the 150 listed companies last year, now 250 listed companies are asking reasonable assurance. Now, what it means for the business? When you talk about reasonable assurance, that means the highest level of assurance in terms of ISA. It means a lot for the industries. That means what you are disclosing on the public forum, it has to be validated by an external organization. It has to be 100% validated. That means earlier what used to happen, if I tell you, Ankit, was, let's say you have working on 100 sites, 100 locations. An assurance agency comes up, says we will give you limited assurance and we will, let's say, evaluate one of your site and one corporate office and whatever data you give it to us, and your limited assurance is done, right? Now the site validation is done or not, your data review is done or not, limited assurance, how much it is limited, that was not there. Anything which is not reasonable or highest was limited, right? This entire scenario changed while SEBI came up with, now you are the ones which are in the topmost listed entities, right? So you have to ensure that all the data is credible. Now, reasonable assurance means each and every data set is being not just validated by the organization, both the industry as well as the assurance agency take equal responsibility.
Yes.
In that scenario, every data set, backup, evidences are backtracked to what it was, and then only a reasonable assurance statement can be given by the agency. So that's the level of credibility on data what has come up. Now, on principle 6 in the BRSR, everything has to be validated. It talks about whether the data has been verified by the agency, yes or no, yes or no. So that's the level of understanding what companies are getting in. So this has changed a lot, and this has impacted industries, because now what has happened is, in this paradigm, you will see that most of the industries who are not even under the top 250, let's say even the top 500, they're gearing up for the next level, because the way our regulations are changing and things are as dynamic as we see in the Indian context. I can see that now industry is gearing up that let's see for 100% of the disclosure. Any site, if it is being validated, we should be prepared for that. So that's what we can see, that things are changing.
Yeah, so I must agree that reasonable assurance is needed so that the ultimate goal can be achieved, because just disclosing the data will not serve purpose. It will just a data in one framework. But as a country, if you want to achieve actual sustainability, reasonable assurance is also essential. Now, next question is, what are the resources required and the organizational competencies that you would like to advise are must to have work on sustainability within the organization, and it is aligning with the reporting requirements from both perspectives?
Yeah, I think this is, really something which is required at this point of time. What happens is that, you see, so many organizations with the emerging need on sustainability, that's like a must to have in every organization. It's a topic which is being talked in the boardroom, and also on the reporting part of it, it's mandatory now for even your business to thrive, to be there in the market, to compare yourselves to peers. If you look at even from the regulatory bodies, let's say I'm also a part of Bureau of Indian Standards. There are 17 standards coming up, and also we are working on the MSME. So we realize that there is a lot of importance that we need to work on MSMEs as well, because as an industry, as an in the overall Indian context as well, we need a lot of support from MSMEs to work on the supply chain issues and see how sustainability could be inculcated over there. So it's mostly about the resources competency, I would say. Not anyone and everyone can be, assigned a responsibility. Look, you are now responsible to handle sustainability because you are handling admin, what you are doing under EHRs, what you are doing under CSR, and then, you have this additional responsibility. This cannot really solve the problem. We need to make, the organizations also understand it has to come all the way from management. It has to be understood that this is a call which an organization is taking for their own sustainability, right? So for an organization to be sustainable and to be there in the market, they need to understand they have got the right set of resources with skills. So it's more about, even if a person is being designated to handle sustainability, I think it's more about capacity building to make a person understand what sustainability is all about. It has to start from scratch to work on the basic awareness, then to gradually build up on what are the concepts, what need to be done on carbon, water, waste, what exactly needs to be done on the reporting criteria, what are the things that an organization need to work on instead of just focusing on carbon. So when you speak to any organization or anyone, in general, you will only hear about carbon, but it is beyond carbon. Sustainability is not just on carbon. Sustainability is also focusing on social. You right now see what sort of human rights issues are happening around. If you have to procure anything from China, there is an act which prohibits you to source it from there because of human rights issues. There are a lot of governance issues. There are a lot of traceability issues. It's a broad context that you need to talk about, and it also includes your supply chain. So you need to have a right set of resources. First, prefer to have resources who have already worked either on sustainability in the past. If not, if you would like to designate a concerned person like within the organization, at least provide them adequate training, because till the time a training is being provided to the persons to understand what needs to be done, a certification needs to be done on water, on waste, to understand on the sustainability reporting criteria, what GRI, BRSR standards are all about. Till the time that is not being done as a basic concept, a person will not be able to drive sustainability. So my suggestion, humble suggestion to most of the organizations would be, even if you would like to utilize your resources, provide them at least skill sets.
Yes.
Give them, depute some money for training your resources. If that is not done, we are at risk.
Yes, because without the untrained manpower, your reporting can go in the opposite direction.
Absolutely. And also, one very important concept, whenever we talk about sustainability, the first thing we hear about carbon. Net zero is the last goal that we are working on net zero goals. But on that part, beyond that, there is a lot of topics that we need to work on. What matters for the organization? First, anything which matters for the leather industry is not going to be the same for the textile industry. It's not going to be the same for the power sector. We need to understand the sector specific topics. Now, that relevance can only be understood by the person who is working or who understands the business and on the sectoral needs. So there is something called materiality assessment, and whosoever is working on this role has to really drive on the topics which matters for the sectors, which matters for his own company, to drive it and to work only on those parameters.
So basically, what my takeaway is from this answer is, a person should be competent, means he or she must be knowing the sustainability basic terms, how to implement, how to report, as well as he or she must have sector specific knowledge. Means for the context they are working, they have the sector specific skills. Then and only then they can work on sustainability. Because just mere knowing the sustainability, it won't help the organization. Right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And of course, passion to drive in the worst scenario, because you are driving against intrinsic and extrinsic factors. In that scenario, how do you take it up? Till the time that person is there, you cannot drive. I'll tell you why sustainability fails in many organizations. There are two reasons. One, if they're at all, because this is a topic which has to be driven right from the management. If it
Yeah.
is not taken seriously at the management level, first, sustainability can never be driven in any organization. That's what we have seen in many, many organizations in the past. Secondly, even if a person is driving sustainability and he feels there are a lot of factors which are, becoming a stoppage, become blocking, your way forward, and he hides all of them. If he or she hides all of them and not puts right in front of management, you cannot achieve sustainability. You cannot get on to the next stage. So whatever is happening, even if you are facing pressure internally, externally, you're not able to report, you're not able to achieve, it's always important to disclose what is happening, to find out what the common solutions, and then proceed further. So that's also important. Transparency. So
Yeah.
transparency internally, externally, so that we are not overcommitting and we are not understanding that we have already achieved. That's required. Otherwise, what is happening, what you have seen, net zero commitment, carbon positive, carbon neutrality, and things like that.
Right, right. So, Nishaji, our last question is, what's the most pertinent challenge which is common across all industries, and basically how one can bridge this gap across these sectors?
I think that's the most important thing that industries need to come forward and understand is on supply chain. Supply chain is the challenge which is yet to be recognized as the most impactful activity wherein everybody is struggling. Why? I'll tell you. We have got a set target. We have to be net zero as a country by 2070. We cannot, all of us wake up at 2060 and think that, oh, yeah, we have 10 years to go and we'll be net zero. That's not going to happen. And even in whenever you get into SBTI or internally, there are a lot of forums wherein you can get into net zero commitment. Just buying certificates will not lead you to net zero pathway, right? So even so, in all possible scenarios, you can only work within the organization. So when you talk about net zero, that's the challenge wherein every organization should feel the heat, should understand that it is not about assessment of suppliers, it is about management of suppliers. How do you work along with them? What you can do is only on scope 1 and scope 2. Scope 1 is within your scope, right? Your emission pathway, direct footprint, you can have all sort of possible controls under that. Scope 2 is also manageable. You can do all possible stuff to manage your scope 2. You're carbon neutral. What is beyond that? You had a net zero commitment, right? So you can only assess your supplier. That also is becoming tricky. Now, if you talk about supplier assessment, most of the organization would say we are doing it in a binary fashion. Yes or no. Are you doing it? Yes or no, right? This is how most of the organization do.
Yes, yes.
But what is beyond that? How are you going to train your suppliers? So most of the people started with an exercise on supplier assessment, being working around on what is happening with the supplier side of it, and focusing only on critical suppliers out of tier 1. First, focusing from critical to tier 1 to tier 2, tier 3 suppliers. Now, this is all assessment. Beyond that, what next? Let's say if I talk about my organization, we already did, around 89% supplier assessment last year. We did even beyond that. We are working at the granularity. And since we have been working since many years for supplier assessment, we know where our suppliers stand. It is about training suppliers, making them understand what is the next way forward. But if we don't, as an organization and also as an industry across all sectors, understand that this is the trickiest component wherein we need to collaborate to work along with them. They are not going to work in a way that we need this, you provide this. That is not going to work. There are suppliers who don't even understand that how calculation needs to be done.
Yes,
So
yes.
that support, that training, capacity building, collaboration is the key. I would say collaboration and capacity building is the key. If you have to work with the suppliers, and then only you can actually work on net zero. And in that, you will see most of the suppliers would be common. So if you have a supplier performance that can be utilized across all industries, wherein we all are struggling, all the industries, everyone is struggling to meet the net zero commitment. And that's where the need, the realization has to start now to act upon it, to actually shift.
Yeah, yeah. So, thank you very much, Nishaji, for enlightening us for this. Basically, from industry perspective, what are the challenges in sustainability reporting as well as the understanding the terms ESG and sustainability. Now we will take one or two questions from the participants. So, Mr. Ravi wants to know that what about data accuracy and data credibility, and how does a company solve this?
So, like we already discussed on data accuracy, data credibility, then assurance can definitely take care of everything. If you have an assurance, done on each and every disclosure, I think that's the best way to solve it. Of course, separate certification can take care of different areas which can give you on carbon, water, waste where you are. That could be one way to approach. The other way could be that, you can actually get onto the, overall sustainability reporting, even if it is on voluntary standard. Even if it is on voluntary standard, GRI SASB assurance is must to have on whatever you are reporting.
Okay. So any other questions from participant, like for Mr. Arpit, sir? We can take one or two questions, saying the time limits of this session. If you have more questions, you can always write to us and we can pass on to the speakers and we can handle it separately.
I think there is one more question on the chat box I can see, again from Mr.
Yeah.
Ravi Ganpati,
Yeah.
saying that secrecy within the companies and rampant greenwashing due to lack of availability of data is a huge issue across manufacturing companies. The comments on. Absolutely. So greenwashing, when you say, I think the best way to, and or what if the real-time data is absent? Agree, reassurance. Okay. So real-time data, any disclosure, Mr. Ganapati, has to happen either in the calendar year or financial year, whatever the, disclosure year companies are working on. I think the best way to solve greenwashing is, everything so let's understand all of us, when we talk about any product, anything, it's not green till the time there is a nomenclature for that. So let's say I'm a part of, committee on, on India Green Steel Coalition. So I'll tell you a couple of initiatives, let's say within an organization, what we are working on. We're even working on demand and supply chain issues as well. Let's say as an organization, we are participating from the customer side of it. And we are working with all the steel customers, on the primary and secondary manufacturers to see how green steel can be produced. Now, green steel, when we say, Ministry of Steel is working on what is the nomenclature of green steel, how
Yes.
green steel can really be worked upon. Is it really green or is it low carbon? Let's work on that one. Same way when you talk about greenwashing, I think the best way to understand and to work it around is, whenever you hear anything in the market, this is green, there is nothing called green. There has to be a nomenclature, there has to be a standard to define that. So there has to be either an ISO standard or any international standard to work on the nomenclature of what is green and a supporting document. So people are very smart these days. You see what has happened in H&M and Decathlon. They have released a lot of fabrics, new products in the market saying this is a sustainable product, and they had to take it back, and a lot of penalties were imposed because they didn't have a backing to that, right?
Yeah.
So environmental product declaration is must if you are working on that part. So that's my suggestion. Whenever you hear that this is the best, let's ask for something, what is the credibility or disclosure for that. But I think this is in a way we can take care of greenwashing for sure.
And I think thank you very much, Nishaji. And if I can recall the discussion which recently happened at COP29 at Baku, Azerbaijan. So there was various discussion was ongoing for this greenwashing. So I guess
Absolutely.
globally the terminology, definitions, various standard will be going to happen so that market can have one common understanding. Means it does not like that X company is saying we are green, Y company is saying we are responsible. Because in case of steel, there are also frameworks like responsible steel.
Yeah. Unification of standards is happening for sure, and a lot of standards and standardization bodies, they are also coming together to work on so that everybody gets a common understanding, because they're also understanding utilization, this and that framework, people are just going in haywire. So this is also going to happen, so I'm sure, because everybody now understand that this is the need. And if at all there is no nomenclature at all, then we all are smart enough to understand that what is happening around, and we must work on.
Okay, so let us conclude the session. I would like to say thanks to Ms. Nishta Gupta, Mr. Arpit Sharma for sharing your valuable insights and basically accommodating our request within the short notice period. So from CCC and MSCC, I would like to say thank you very much. We thanks all participants for their valuable time. I hope the topic environment and sustainability services must have the enlighten your queries. You could understand basics about how to report, how this killing can be done. And Mr. Arpit has also very much said that what as a country our government is doing for the upskilling of the uh, various organization as well as the public of the our country, right? So thank you very much. So we are closing this session now.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, everyone. Any queries, please feel free to reach out. Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.